Hi, I'm Carolyn, and this is my son.
I'm Alex.
How old are you, Alex?
12.
12. 5th grade. So his teacher sent this book home for us for my project because she thought it would be a good one for us to explore together. It's called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and it's written by William Kinkwamba. Does that sound different?
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Mueller, with pictures by Elizabeth Zunan. The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. Do you like to create things?
Mm-hmm.
Like dream big?
Yeah.
What do you dream of creating?
Basically anything.
You like to play with junk?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what?
What?
So does this kid. Are you ready to hear his story?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how am I going to show the pictures to our friends? You scooch over a little bit. In a small village in Malawi, where do you think that is? What does it look like?
So it would either be Australia or India.
How about Africa? Okay.
Possible.
People had no money for lights. Nightfall came quickly and hurried poor farmers to bed. But for William, the darkness was for dreaming. I love this page. He dreamed of building things and taking them apart, just like you. Like the trucks with bottle cap wheels parked under his bed and pieces of radios that he'd crack open and wonder, if I can hear the music, then where is the band? His grandpa's tales of magic also whispered in the pitch black of his room. Witch planes passed through the window while ghost dancers twirled around the room as if 100 men were inside their bodies. Pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do we farm this way?
No.
At dawn in the fields, William scanned the maize, M-A-I-Z. What do you think that is? What is this?
Rows of
What do we grow?
corn and beans.
Yeah. Magical beings then wondered as a truck rumbled past. How does the engine go? Pay attention where you throw that hoe, his father shouted. You'll cut off your foot. He's wearing flip-flops just like you. We just said that.
Yep.
For all its power over dancers and flying things, magic could not bring the rain. What happens when it doesn't rain on our fields?
The crops that have already grown will start to wither.
They wither, and then what happens? Do we get a good crop?
No.
No, and how hot is it in Africa?
Really hot.
Really hot. Hotter than here, right? Without water, the sun rose angry every morning and scorched the fields, turning the maize into dust. Without food, the Malawi people began to starve. Soon William's father gathered the children and said, "From now on, we eat only one meal per day. Make it last." How would that feel? If I said you could only eat a little something before bed every day?
Then I would probably go to bed hungry.
Mm-hmm. So like tonight, I was thinking maybe we could make some corn cakes and beans and try it. Do you think it would fill up your tummy?
Probably.
Enough though, if I only give you a handful?
No.
In the evenings, they sat around the lantern and ate their handful, watching hungry people pass by like spirits on the road. Money also disappeared with the rain. No crops, no money. Pepani, his father said, "I am sorry. You will have to drop out of school." Did you know they have to pay for school in Africa? Yep, parents have to pay money for uniforms and books.
That's it.
Yeah, that's very sad. Now, William stood on the road and watched the lucky students pass alone, with the monster in his belly and the lump in his throat. For weeks, he sulked under the mango tree, like you do when you get ornery. He just sat there sulking, feeling sorry for himself, until one day he remembered the library down the road, which was a gift from the Americans. So kind of like in Sunday school when you collect money for BGEA and they send it overseas, that kind of thing buys the books and the clothes and stuff for kids all over the world. Well, he found science books filled with brilliant pictures. With his English dictionary close by, William put together how engines moved those big trucks and how radios pulled their music from the sky. But the greatest picture of all was a machine taller than the tallest tree with blades like a fan. A giant pinwheel? Something to catch magic? Slowly he put the sentence together. Windmills can produce electricity and pump water. How hard would it be if you didn't speak English to take a dictionary and figure this all out?
Hard.
What would you use to help you with the words? What could you use? What would you look at in the books to help you figure out the words? Could you use the pictures? You could use the pictures. Maybe words that were kind of familiar. He doesn't know much English, though. He closed his eyes and saw a windmill outside his home, pulling electricity from the breeze and bringing light to the dark valley. He's a dreamer. Sorry. He saw the machine drawing cool water from the ground, sending it gushing through the thirsty fields, turning the maize tall and green, even when farmers' prayers for rain went unanswered. This windmill was more than a machine. It was a weapon to fight hunger. "Magetsi a Menfipo," he whispered. "I will build electric wind." This is the fun part because we have piles like this around the farm. What kinds of things do you see?
I see wheels. And I see little bolts.
Bolts and nuts and what's this?
That's a piece of
Maybe from an engine fan blade or looks like a fan.
yeah.
And then he's got like plastic scraps. In the junkyard, pieces appeared like scattered treasure in the tall grass. A tractor fan, that's what that was. Some pipe and bearings and bolts that required every muscle to remove. "Tonga!" Can you say Tonga?
Tonga.
"Tonga," he'd shout to the birds and the spiders, holding up his prize. But as William dragged his metals home, people called out, "That boy is Masala." Only crazy people play with trash. No. We play with trash all the time, don't we? Oh, more. Look at this. After many weeks, William arranged his pieces in the dirt. A broken bicycle, rusted bottle caps, and plastic pipe. Even a small generator that powered a headlight on a bike. For 3 days, he bolted, banged, and tinkered, while chickens squawked and dogs barked and neighbors shook their heads saying, "What's Masala doing now?" What else do we see here that he found? Some wood. There's not a hose, a serpentine belt, like a belt that will go around a motor to turn it.
Yeah, don't we have a bunch of those?
Hanging in the shop. His cousin Geoffrey and best friend Gilbert soon appeared. Muli Buwanji, they greeted. Can we help with electric wind? Other people are learning his story. Grab your pangas and follow me, he said, and took them to the forest. What do you think pangas are? Together they swung their sharp blades into the trunks of blue gum trees and then hammered them together to make the tower. A panga must be a knife. So they cut down those blue gum trees and they put it together.
They did it.
Standing atop, William shouted, "Bring it up!" while the boys tugged and heaved on the rope. A crowd gathered below and gazed at the strange machine that now leaned and wobbled like a clumsy giraffe. Some giggled, others teased, but William waited for the wind. He believes in himself.
Yep.
And like always, it came. First a breeze, and then a gusting gale, and the tower swayed, and the blades began to spin around. With sore hands, once slowed by hunger and darkness, William connected wires to a small bulb which flickered at first and then surged as bright as the sun. Tonga, he shouted, I have made electric wind. So cool. Wachita Binwo, a man yelled, well done. As the doubters clapped and cheered, William knew he had just begun. Light could not fill their empty bellies, but another windmill could soak the dry ground, creating food where there once was none. Magetsi a Fipo, electric wind can feed my country, William thought. Look at all the people. Now they have hope. And that wind was the strongest magic of all. What if I told you this was a true story?
I bet it is.
William Kamwamba was born in 1987 and grew up near the village of Wimby, located in central Malawi. Like many people in Malawi and the rest of Africa, William's father was a farmer. And they grew a white sweet corn called maize, and they ate it for every meal. In like a porridge, porridge is like oatmeal, and they called it sima. They also grew tobacco for things like clothes and medicine and other things they'd need, and they sold it in the big city. So what do you think happens if their only source of food comes from the ground, and they have problems with the weather?
Then the crops will probably die.
Yep, and then they don't eat. So in 2001 and 2002, a severe drought, which is what? No rain for days. We had one of those in 2012. A severe drought killed most of the maize fields. And within several months, the entire country of Malawi ran out of food and began to starve. It was called a famine. Have you heard of a famine? That's where nothing grows, everything's dead, and people start to die from it. If you only eat one meal a day, you lose weight. And it says here his dad even went temporarily blind from the hunger. It killed over 10,000 people in his country. Well, he did drop out of school, and he found that picture book of the windmill, and he dreamed and he built. And there's William on top of his first windmill. But the story doesn't end there. He charged a car battery and put light bulbs in his parents' house. But years later, because it took a couple years to figure it out, he built his green machine, which actually pulled water from a small well near his home and fed his mother's garden. And she grew vegetables year-round. So then they have good nutrition, right? Mm-hmm. So then, in 2007, William was discovered by some journalists, and they invited him to speak at a TED Talk. And you know what a TED Talk is, don't you? Those conferences where they have people tell their stories. Well, he got to go to Tanzania on an airplane. Never been on an airplane. And how would you explain the internet to him? How could you explain to someone who didn't even have electricity what the internet was?
It would be pretty hard.
It would be pretty hard. You would maybe say, this is where we get our information? Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people heard his story, and they donated money to send him to school, and they donated money to install a solar-powered water pump in his village, forever protecting them from hunger. And guess what? He's now a college student in New Hampshire, right here in America. And yep, and he's studying to be an engineer, and he plans to return home to work on renewable electricity energy and pumping water in the villages. So a dream back here about the wind. The boy who harnessed the wind. He caught that wind, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And he went very far with it. So, if you dream and you work hard and you don't give up, what happens? What happens if you don't give up on your dreams?
You can get very far with them.
You can. And he helped save people. Did you like the book? Mm-hmm. What did you like best about it?
I would say when he created the windmill.
All the pieces? Mm-hmm. Should we go out and dig through some of the stuff out back on the farm and see what we can create? You don't want to today?
No, maybe tomorrow though.
Okay, tomorrow we will. I can't wait to see what we have out there and what we can make and dream up. Mm-hmm. Thank you for reading with us today.
Yep, have a good day.